As well as explaining to each other, students can help each other. The research on peer helping shows that the student helping actually gains more than the student being helped. This is because the process of explaining something clarifies it in your own mind. Do explain this to your students, as they might otherwise worry they are being taken advantage of. When I first started teaching physics, I'm ashamed to say I had quite a few physics misconceptions, and there were some concepts I thought I understood but was not really clear about, despite my good university education. But I sorted those out in the first few months of teaching. Why? Because I had to explain something to someone else, and explaining really makes you clear about what you are explaining. Students are more likely to own up to difficulties to another student than they will to you. Students helping each other is popular with students, and it saves you time and trouble. Let's look at 2 ways students can help each other: study buddies and learning teams. Peer teaching or study buddies. 1. You pair up one student who can do something with another who can't. For example, imagine you have a student, John, who is not very good at calculating percentages. You ask another student, Jill, who can do this well, whether she is prepared to help John. You stress the difference between copying and learning. Most students don't have trouble with the difference. You make the short-term learning objective clear to both students. When you've found a student willing and able to help, you set very clear guidelines for a very short-term learning goal. For example, quote, John should be able to do calculations like these and really understand them. Jill, please explain them like I explained them in my notes. He and you can meet in your free period on Tuesday. Here are some questions for John to practice with. The helper reports progress to you. So you ask the student who is helping to report to you frequently about how the tutoring is progressing. Or you could ask the helped student to report. It's best to make this quite a formal arrangement. Quote, please email me each Tuesday to let me know how much time you have had together and John's progress on the questions. Human beings are social animals, and they really enjoy both helping each other and being helped. Both helping and being helped assists learning. Teachers have not made as much use of this method as they should. Peer helping takes very little time from you, and if it doesn't work, you have lost very little. In my experience, it usually works well. Peer tutoring has a high effect size, as does help seeking. So you could let students request a study buddy to help them with a specific problem, either through you or just informally between themselves. But this brings us to another related strategy called learning teams. Learning teams. This is a more unusual strategy to use. Learning teams are groups of about 5 to 7 students who are all studying the same course. Their purpose is to offer each other mutual support. They last about 2 months to a year and so become quite well established. And though they act fairly independently of you, they are carefully monitored by you. In real life, people work in teams, so learning teams mirrors real work and real life. It can help students learn how to work productively in a team and can help develop important values and attitudes. So 1, you create teams of 5 to 7 students, and they're mixed, they're not friends. The students should not be grouped with friends where possible. Choose the groups so there is a mix of ability, gender, and everything in each group. Friends have their own objectives, not necessarily to do with learning. 2, The learning team meets outside of class time. There's a chairperson and a secretary that rotates. There's an agenda and there's minutes. The group might meet for the first time in your class, but after that they meet outside of your class in their own time. You might be able to informally or formally timetable a suitable time and location for these meetings when all the students are free of classes. The team meets once a week or less often. They have an agenda for their first and probably later meetings, which asks students if they are up to date with their work, what they find most difficult, and what help anybody would like. Asking, quote, "What do you find most difficult?" is a good question to discover what help is needed. Quote, "Are you okay?" is not so good, as most students would answer yes to this even if they need help. There is a chairperson and a secretary who writes a short account of the meeting for you. These roles can rotate so all students can practice them. The team might meet online using Voov or some other meeting application. Students discuss assignments and homework, ask for assistance and clarification, give each other support, and provide help to those students who want it. 3. The team communicates with social media and mobile phones or email. The students share phone numbers, emails, and they might set up social media groups for team communications. This enables any student who is having problems with their work to contact a member of their learning team for assistance. They will get help for reasons I'm about to explain. 4. Team members are responsible for each other's performance. You stress to the teams that each member must take responsibility for the performance of all the members of their team. If one student performs badly in a quiz, the teacher asks the whole team, "Didn't you know this team member was having difficulties? What did you do to help?" This accountability has 2 effects. First, a weak team member will not want to let their team down and so will ask for help if they need it. Secondly, when a team member is asked to help, they will be motivated to provide the help for the sake of their team. Again, this mirrors real-life teamwork, preparing students for it. 5. Groups get average marks for its members. This is optional. When you mark the students' individual work, you could also record group performance. For example, recording the average of the lowest 3 marks in each team. This encourages teams to help weaker members. If you will do this, it would be important to warn the teams in advance and to do it in a spirit of fun. This has a high effect size, but I have noticed resistance to this strategy from some classes. Perhaps it is better to rely on students' desire to help and be helped, rather than on competition between groups. As ever, use your professional judgment as to whether to do this or not. Groups differ. Perhaps give it a try. 6. Ensure one student in each group is good at any vital skills. When you are ensuring a mix of ability in each group, consider any vital skills required for the student's work. For example, maths skills or computer skills, and make sure that each team has its fair share of students with these skills. Then help will be available to all students in these skills. 7. You decide the first agenda and you see all the minutes. I hope you will give peer explaining and peer helping a try in some form. It could make the difference between success and failure for some students. Teachers change lives forever. It's worth trying these very powerful methods. But remember, if you have been teaching a few years, you are very experienced indeed with the teaching methods you use often. You are confident, at ease, and even if something goes wrong, you know what to do. Compare this with using a method that is new to you. You are likely to feel worried and uneasy at first. That is expected. If you find a method doesn't work after a number of trials, then try another method. There are plenty to choose from. Look at the cycle, which works for trialing any new teaching method. Trial the method briefly, in a small way, for just part of your class. Then reflect. How did it go? What have you learned? What will you do differently next time? This trial and improve is sometimes called action research. A review of research by academics Joyce and Showers found that it took teachers about 5 trials to discover whether a new teaching method would work for them and their students. If you don't like a particular method, that's fine. Try another. There are plenty. After about 25 trials, Joyce and Showers found that the teacher feels much more at ease. And if they learn from their trials, they will probably be using the method reasonably effectively. They still have room to improve, though. A bit of advice on trials. First, you don't need to use a control group. That work has been done for you. Second, ask your students about the method and to suggest any improvement that would make the method better for learning. Why not work together to improve learning? You need their views to know the effect of the method, but don't act on their suggestions if it makes the method less effective. Third, talk about your trials with colleagues, asking for advice. A research review by Helen Timperley shows that by far the best way to improve your teaching is to work in a team with others who are also trying out new teaching methods. Meet every month or so and take turns to tell each other about your trials, show examples of your students' work during these trials, and ask for advice about how to use your method more effectively. Then you can advise the others in your team about their trials. This is called supported experiments, and I've written about this in my evidence-based teaching books. Well, we are nearly at the end of this session. There are plenty more lessons on other evidence-based teaching methods, though. To finish this one, here are 5 statements. Which of these are true? More than one of them may be true. Pause the video to give yourself more time. Here are the answers. Again, pause the video to give yourself time to study these. 1. Yes, that is the point of peer explaining. Students listen to be sure they can explain themselves. 2. No. You only need to try a method about 5 times to discover it might work for you. 3. Yes. Misconceptions are corrected by peers and by the teacher giving key points. 4. No. Strangely, the student doing the helping gets the most educational benefit. This is because explaining is a powerful way to gain understanding. 5. The first learning team meeting may be in your class, but the later ones are all in the student's own time. The students enjoy learning teams hugely, so they do turn up to meetings. There are many more methods in my book and, of course, in my other videos. The easiest ones to start with might be in the 4th video on starting a new topic. Best of luck trying these methods out. Remember, teachers change students' lives forever. So your trials could make a huge difference to your students. Thank you for your attention.